Welcome to section 11.13, part 1. This is the 115th session of the CISSP exam prep series. In this session, we'll build the foundation of Wi-Fi security. We'll answer several questions. What makes a wireless network different from a cabled one? How does the 802.11 family evolve? How do clients and access points arrange themselves? What is the difference between a fat and a thin access point? How do you name and protect a wireless network? How do channels, surveys, and encryption protocols keep it fast and safe? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because every wireless network you deploy is broadcasting into space where anyone can listen. Picture a busy hospital where doctors carry tablets from ward to ward, all riding the same Wi-Fi. Get the design and encryption right, and patient data stays sealed as staff roam the floors. Get it wrong, and someone in the parking lot can pull it out of the air. These fundamentals are what stand between convenience and exposure. What makes a wireless network different from a cabled one? It carries all the same threats as a wired network, plus a few of its own. Because the signal travels through open air, an attacker can eavesdrop from a distance without ever touching a cable. That same openness invites new forms of jamming and intrusion. This is why we call Wi-Fi an unbounded network, while a cabled network is a bounded one. Think of a wired network as a private letter in a sealed envelope, and wireless as a postcard anyone nearby can read as it passes. How does the 802.11 family keep evolving? 802.11 is the standard that governs wireless network communication. Over time, it has grown through a series of amendments, each typically pushing throughput higher and often adopting new frequency bands. The friendly Wi-Fi generation numbers you see on product boxes map back to these amendments. A helpful rule is that later amendments sharing a frequency with earlier ones usually keep backward compatibility. One caution for the exam: do not confuse this wireless family with the port-based authentication standard that has a very similar name but nothing to do with radio. How do clients and access points arrange themselves? In one of two modes. Ad hoc mode lets two wireless devices talk directly, with no central access point coordinating them, like two walkie-talkies chatting peer-to-peer. Infrastructure mode routes everyone through a wireless access point that enforces the rules of entry. Infrastructure mode comes in several flavors. A standalone setup links wireless clients only to each other. A wired extension bridges them onto the wired network. An enterprise extended design uses many access points, sharing one network name so users roam seamlessly. And a bridge deployment uses a wireless link to join two wired networks, handy between floors or buildings. What is the difference between a fat and a thin access point? It comes down to where the brains live. A fat access point is fully self-managed. It handles its own security, routing, and filtering locally, which makes it flexible for a home but tedious to configure one device at a time. A thin access point is little more than a radio. All the management is pulled into a central controller that oversees many of them at once. Picture a fat access point as a store manager who runs everything alone, and thin access points as cashiers, all directed from one head office. How do you name and protect a wireless network? Every network carries a service set identifier, the name clients look for. Related labels distinguish a single access point, a group of them covering a larger area, and the hardware address of a base station. Vendors ship default names that are widely known, so change yours to something unique before deployment. The name is announced in a beacon frame so devices can find it easily. You can silence that beacon, but do not mistake this for real security. An attacker with a sniffer still sees the name in ordinary traffic. Rely on strong encryption, not on hiding. How do you keep nearby access points from interfering? Through careful channel planning. Each frequency band is split into channels, like separate lanes on one highway. When two access points sit close together on overlapping channels, their signals collide and performance drops. The fix is to space physically close access points onto non-overlapping channels. In the lower band, a common trio of channels sits far enough apart to avoid clashing entirely. Higher bands were designed with wider gaps between channels, so neighbors interfere far less, and adjacent channels can even be bonded together for extra speed. How do you decide where to place your access points? You run a site survey. A site survey is a formal measurement of signal strength, quality, and interference, taken with a radio detector as you move a base station around the space. The goal is strong coverage where authorized people work, and weak signal leaking outside where intruders lurk. From those readings, you build a heat map, an overlay of signal strength on a floor plan. Hotspots reveal oversaturation, cold spots reveal dead zones, and both guide where to move antennas and how to tune power. Think of it as a weather map for your radio waves. How does a client first prove it belongs on the network? The original standard offered two authentication styles. Open system authentication asks for nothing real. As long as a radio can reach the access point, traffic flows, usually in the clear with no protection at all. Shared key authentication requires some proof before the network opens up. Over the years, shared key methods grew from an early, weak scheme into the far stronger protected access protocols we rely on now. Open access is like an unlocked lobby anyone can wander into, while shared key is a door that at least asks who you are. Why should you never trust wired equivalent privacy? Because it was broken almost immediately and has stayed broken. This earliest encryption option leans on a single static key shared across every access point and client, feeding a stream cipher that was implemented poorly. That combination gutted its strength. Today, the encryption can be cracked in under a minute with free tools. Treat it as a museum piece, not a defense. If you ever find it running, replacing it should be your first move. What was Wi-Fi protected access meant to fix? It was the bridge built to replace the broken scheme while a stronger standard was finished. Its big improvement was ditching the single static key. Instead, it negotiates a unique key set with each device and separates authentication from encryption. It was a real step forward for its time, but it too has since fallen to dedicated cracking tools and is no longer considered safe. You might still see it propping up ancient hardware, but that is a poor bargain you should retire whenever you can. Why is Wi-Fi protected access 2 the baseline you should demand? Because it replaced both earlier schemes with genuinely strong encryption. It swapped the old stream cipher for a modern block cipher mode built on the advanced encryption standard, which is held up against direct attack. That said, weaknesses have surfaced in its key exchange process, so keeping devices patched still matters. This version also introduced two authentication choices you must know. A pre-shared key, meaning a single fixed password for smaller settings, and an enterprise option that hands authentication off to a central identity service. Match the choice to the size and sensitivity of the deployment. So, let's bring it together. Wireless is an unbounded network exposed to eavesdropping and new attacks that cables never face. The 802.11 family evolves through amendments, and clients connect in ad hoc or infrastructure mode using fat or thin access points. Name your network deliberately, plan channels to avoid interference, and run site surveys to shape coverage. Above all, skip the broken early encryption, retire the temporary fix, and demand the modern protected access with proper authentication. In the next part, we push into even stronger protections and the attacks that target them. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on rucloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.